Hi, viewers.
Hello again.
It's been a long while.
Yes, unfortunately, we haven't been able to get to the movies lately just because of lots of other things that have been happening.
Yes.
But.
And my face is kind of cut off, but. So, what better thing to come back to than more Star Wars? Right? Yay. We didn't post our big full thing of Obi-Wan, and it's probably a good thing because that show was terrible.
Yes.
But we have Andor.
Yes. Andor was just released, and we finally got a chance to sit down and watch these first 3 episodes.
Which
I guess they're doing, like, in a sense, triptych storylines, where it's 3 episodes, and then it moves on to another storyline, and then it's 3 episodes, and whatever. So that's going to be an interesting
I want to see
process.
How that plays out.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, and it's... it came out, there was the first few little rumblings that I heard about it, and then there was a few of the articles that came out in front of it, and it said it was a more grown-up Star Wars.
And it didn't disappoint out of the gate.
Holy crap.
Right out of the gate.
It is. It's dare I say it, at least the first 3 episodes, this is the grown-up Star Wars I think a lot of us,
people were waiting
the adults that grew up with it, even the prequels, I would say, have really kind of been waiting for Star Wars to kind of get that extra
gritty
edge
feel
to it that it needed, and it's...
that modernization of what we were expecting. I mean, in a sense, Star Wars is part... I mean, if you think about it, it's Star Wars. It's all about battle and grit and conflict and good versus evil and whatever, but it's in a way there's some sort of big overarching war that's kind of going on.
Yeah, and this one, and the first 3 alluded to that. It's like, make no mistake, this is the first 3, they are set up episodes. I don't know how much is going to stick
from this,
characters and such that are introduced. How many of them are going to stick around for the next segment,
triptych, so to speak?
I don't know, but I mean, I liked it. It's like, I mean, the first 2 episodes were, not much really happened, but
that's okay.
I'm okay with that. I was perfectly fine with all the different, the world building it was doing, and the history building, and the character introductions, and all. I'm like, it worked, and they pieced it together into a pretty good cohesive story.
Yes, and even with the flashbacks, it didn't detract enough from what was happening in the present time.
Once or twice the jump to the flashback, I was like, did it jump? And I'm like, yeah, it did. It was 1 or 2 of them were a bit awkward. I think that was more in the 3rd episode, maybe. But,
it's possible. But I mean, overall, it was just interesting. And one of the things that I know we kind of were saying in between the episodes and watching it, one of the things that I found very interesting, and maybe it's because we didn't turn subtitles on, but they never gave you the subtitles when they did the flashbacks to when he was a kid. So, and one of the things that we kind of discussed is that, as much as
it was trusting its audience to pick up what was going on
and understand that it wasn't necessary to know every single word. It wasn't necessary to figure out what they were saying, because it didn't matter in the overarching story. We just know that it was a group of kids that were fighting for themselves, and that they, whatever family units kind of were still there, were still together to a degree.
Yeah.
But overall, we didn't need to know all the dynamics of it, because it doesn't matter. There's only one real character out of that old that old history that you need to even remember.
It was meant
to a degree.
That was I think there was a couple of moments. Look at that guy going like a maniac. There's a cop when you need one. But you know, at the beginning he's looking for, he said, his sister, and it kind of gets a bit dropped, and I'm curious to know if that's going to play a little bit further as it goes on.
I have a feeling that it will, but we're just not going to see how until we get to the next segments.
Right. But, so there was a couple of bits where I think, you know, they were kind of making a few leaps just to move things forward. You know, it's like that was kind of one thing where it's just, you know, where's my, you know, I'm looking for someone that, you know, this, that, and the other. And then it was in the third episode with, I think, was it Briggs? Briggs is her name?
Briggs or Nix or something like that.
I kept thinking they were saying, or Biggs. I kept thinking they were saying Biggs at time. I'm like, is this Biggs's relative? But where she kind of, how quick she pieced together that it was her pseudo boyfriend that tipped off the security people, and I thought that was a bit of a jump. Why all of a sudden the security guards picked her out? Well, that was kind of ridiculous in the whole running around scene when they're trying to do their pincer movement kind of thing. Although, go ahead. Sorry. No. I just thought that I felt was there was a couple moments of those where things just kind of happened, and you're like, why? And I'm like, we don't have a reason. It just needs to happen. Yeah. But there weren't too many of that, and you know, I think that overall the storytelling and the character development and things that it was doing worked more than it didn't. Yes. You know, there wasn't just, you know, there weren't too many moments where people were just doing straight up dumb stuff. Yes. Which, you know, was, you know, all Obi-Wan, yeah. Book of Boba Fett, where it's just like, hey, don't do this, well, I'm going to do it. And it's even, you know, just it looked stupid, it was stupid, it was... All those other ones thus far have not given us hope that there was anything that was going to come out of any of these Star Wars shows and actually be valuable. But I mean, in this, it was interesting because, you know, the Imperials aren't necessarily present all the time, but part of what makes them good baddies is that they don't have to be. And I thought that was good. That was, keep going. But yeah, so I mean, it's like they didn't have to be there, but that overarching presence, I mean, the whole interchange between that security chief guy and then the one that we see like in this second scene, like, practically of the show. Yeah, like when he's like, you know what, these people, you know, don't even worry about them. Even if I knew him, it doesn't even matter. It's like the least amount of Imperial presence we have on our planet is better for everyone. Yes. And and it's like, it's just the intimidation of having Imperials come. That's enough of a threat to try and cover up the issues that may be happening. Yeah. And for this stupid guy to go rogue, in a sense, and feel like this murder has to be solved and whatever. It's like, you don't realize what you're baiting. You know, you don't realize what you're doing that's going to, in a sense, like, kind of mess everything up for everybody. And that's what I'm hoping we'll see the aftermath. We see in the next bit, like, we see him again, but this time he's a janitor or whatever. But, you know, I mean, he's been severely demoted, or he's got one arm, you know. It's just like, no, the Imperial, like, took his life, basically, without killing him, because that was the threat of the Empire that the show gave you. And that's what I almost like. They were almost a boogeyman. It's like, you know, they're out there because it's been mentioned. The Imperials this and the Imperials that, and like you said, that chief inspector guy, he was just like, you know what? If it keeps the Imperials off and then off my back, then this is an accident, and we're not dealing with this. Yes. And it's like, I like that. And one of the things I did hear recently, you know, it's one of the arguments being leveled right now, is it doesn't feel like this show is enough Star Wars. And I said, there's enough in there to make it feel Star Wars. I would have preferred maybe, you know, a common issue we have with the sequels and some of the other shows is, other than Mando, I think, you know, there's not enough of the different aliens and all that stuff that show up.
And aliens that we're familiar with from the original series.
Yeah, it's like, I wish if they had one alien that was familiar, that was in the prequels, or Clone Wars, or the original trilogy. If it was something from the sequels, but okay, at least it still ties in. Mm-hmm, I like too that they were giving things about location. They were saying like mid-rim and outer rim a lot. You know,
and you also liked in the very beginning when it gave the BBY.
Yes, yeah, when it said BBY, and she was just like, I don't know what that is. Well, I read the books back in the day, the Legacy books, so I was like, oh, before the Battle of Yavin, it was 5 years before. You know, and I'm sure the next one will be either 3 or 2 or whatever. This is basically counting down to Rogue One.
Yes.
It's almost like a death countdown. But but I think some of the visuals, you know, little things like the tech, the ships, you know, the ships, yes, yeah, there was the Y-wing that was shown there, but I'm not talking about that. The one ship he flew out at the beginning, it had Y-wing-esque engines,
engines.
But just some of the way the ships were designed, little things. There was enough there that you're sitting there going, that's a
hint of this, that's a hint of that.
And I'd almost even say it's like that bus that Skargard took, that felt like it could have been a relic from Coruscant that got dumped off into this planet. Like, there was little snippets that it was almost like a merging of what we saw in the prequel.
And the little battle dropships.
Yeah, and the dropships, yes.
The little baby dropships that looked, is like, for a moment, it's like, ooh, that looks very Clone Wars-y. And then, like, they get down there and it's barely big enough for them.
And it's tiny.
But it's still that image.
It looks in between.
Yes.
You know, it's like, well, I know what it looked like in Clone Wars, and it's a little more toned down, not as pristine or elite looking. It's you know, it's empire-y, and it's making you make these mental visual connections from prequel to OT, and it works. So I thought that was good on that front. And I mean, most of the characters I liked. I mean,
yes,
Cassian was pretty good, you know.
Yes.
I mean, I think he was definitely one of the best characters, obviously. It's him. He's in it a lot. It's about him.
What?
It's not about any of the other characters.
What?
Oh my freaking God.
How did they do that? That's just crazy.
Why would they do that? But
I don't know.
So it's like that's good. And you know, Skarsgård has got enough there that he's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he came in verbally guns blazing. You know, he kind of already has, you know, obviously he's part of the rebellion.
Yep.
Because obviously this is where they recruited, you know, Cassian in general. But I mean, you know, as far as him, you know, he already has plans in place, but he also knows more than he's letting on. So he, like, literally came in there.
Yeah.
You know, verbally with guns blazing. He's like, I know what you are, Cassian. I know all about you. And he's like, you don't know anything about me. He's like, oh yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to kind of prove it. Now, it will be interesting to see if we see those connections of the points he made in future episodes. But, you know, overall...
And we were trying to discuss, sorry, no, I don't want to, you know, what father was he talking about that got hung? The father on the mining planet, like when he was the kid flashback? Or the other guy that was with his mom that took him from that planet? But go ahead.
But yeah, so I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And, you know, I'm actually looking forward to the series.
Yeah, you know, and that was the thing. We saw like the first teaser trailer years ago, and we were...
Really, you know, we were like, okay, back then.
All right, and then Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan happened, and we're just like, absolutely not. We almost didn't watch Andor, but then they had the most recent trailer. I was like, that actually has potential again.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! And now
risked it.
The first 3 episodes are out, and we're just like, holy shit, this was good. I was engaged.
Yes.
You know, I think they're going to get beat by the Disney Plus 30 minute or so format, because if these were in those 30-minute chunks and we had to wait a week in between each one of these three, I think it would make it so it's harder to watch.
Yeah.
By releasing this first thing in a group, it felt like a mini movie, and honestly, I think they should have just edited it all together. That's probably one of my really bigger complaints, is that I think this should have been an hour and a half mini movie on Disney Plus, and there's 3 of them. I think that's how it should be, because the cuts were a bit jarring and distracting.
But overall, I think we very much enjoyed it. So
yeah, I did. I was engaged.
It would be nice to see where it goes. I can only hope and pray that they don't screw it up. It'll be nice to finally kind of watch something again that actually feels Star Warsy, yet not necessarily. And that's the thing. Star Wars does not have to include Jedi, and
Yes, and
and lightsabers
briefly,
and everything.
Yeah, I was kind of talking about that before. Is just that it doesn't need the Force, Jedi, lightsaber, Sith, and all that. It's
There's a whole galaxy out there.
It can be these little self-contained world and stories, and I think after Rogue One, it's like that was something we were absolutely looking for, and first 3 episodes gave us that, and I want more. Yes. Please. Yes. Just like that. Hiccups, but
so overall, again, we think it's great so far. Hoping for good more, stuff coming out from them, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, post what do you all think?
Yeah, what's your favorite part of this show so far? So let us know, and we will catch you in the next one.
Indeed. Hopefully we'll be going to more movies or more Andor. We'll see.
Yep. All right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.